Hi. Well, we're moving now out of the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, into the former prophets, as the Jewish community calls them, the books from Joshua to Kings, and we're looking at one of the key books in that sequence, 2 Samuel. And one of the things that makes this book really interesting, I think, is its portrayal of the story of David, which starts off in 1 Samuel and runs through the whole of 2 Samuel and indeed into the beginning of 1 Kings. David has been such a significant figure for Jews and for Christians, and what I love about the figure of David is the extraordinary complexity of the character, the way in which he shows himself to be somebody who's really committed to God, and yet in other ways somebody who's such a mess. He's somebody who is always faithful to Yahweh, and yet somebody who in his relationships with other people often is really quite irresponsible in relation not least to his family, to his offspring. And one of the ways in which that comes out in the story in 2 Samuel is in the vignettes about women who also appear in the story. So I hope you will enjoy and learn from thinking about those stories. The promise in 2 Samuel chapter 7 that God gives to David is a story we shall be looking at in some detail. It's really significant from the point of view of the building of the temple. It's a great account of how David has this bright idea and God says, "Do you think I should be consulted first if I'm going to have to live in this place?" And we'll discover how God has some misgivings about the idea of David building him a temple, and yet is willing to go with it, and to go with it in a thoroughgoing way, actually. And this conversation between God and David issues in God making extraordinary promises of commitment to David with regard to him and with regard to his son and with regard to the line that will follow. And there's a real sense in which the beginning of the story of the Messiah comes in these promises to David, which don't envisage a Messiah who's going to come in hundreds of years' time, but it is that promise to David that we see fulfilled in Jesus.